I'm Mubarak Nakhuda. I am 27 years old and I'm Anudda Bajan. My dad was born in India and he grew up in Trinidad. My mom was born in Barbados, but she's still Indian obviously. And I have a older sibling who's 13 years older than me. Her name is Sadia. You know, growing up as an Indian, obviously you realize that you were in the minority, but I can't say that I would have ever felt like racism towards me or like prejudice or segregation. I always felt like part of the Barbadian society and the Barbadian culture, you know, we are in the minority, but I never felt any less of a person. I think before, Barbadians generally weren't, they wouldn't segregate, but they weren't too interested in becoming educated on different cultures or ethnicities or backgrounds. But now there's a lot more people converting to Islam. There's a lot more people having knowledge about Islam, and because Muslims interact more. And I always say, like, if you carry yourself a certain way, people tend to gravitate towards you. So like there's more discussion regarding Islam. Muslims are becoming more involved in stuff regarding to public involvement, private sector involvement, you know, selling also. So that's a benchmark for like generally wanting to know more about it. And also like you know, about the other Muslim friends as well, they will have other friends who are non-Muslims, and you know, they will know about stuff, they will learn about stuff. We will invite them over for Ramadan, for Eid. We would explain certain things to them, and you will see that they're more open to learning. You know, it's not like a mind block anymore. They're more open to learning. Because of technology and social media, there's this vast information of knowledge being disseminated a lot. So people generally know about Ramadan, even though a lot of people might not be fasting, but they know it's the time of fasting. It's the holy month of Muslims. And I don't find it any less, as I said. People tend to be understanding. They ask questions. They're like, the most common question is like, you mean you can't even drink water? So it's like, no. Like we explain to them, like from the morning till like sunset, you would generally fast, and then you will go to the mosque and pray at night. And then for Eid, and like, well, even before Eid, for Ramadan, sometimes like the friends will come over, they will ask questions, we would give them like some treats, and like we will explain certain things to like come and break the fast with us, even though they haven't been fasting. You know, you have that sort of inclusivity. And then for Eid, they come over again and they see like the treats, the food, the everything, and you know, they're involved, and they have a pretty good idea or concept of it, because they do business also with a lot of Muslims, so they have an idea of how it works, you know, the certain ins and outs of it, and become au fait with it. Growing up in town, obviously, you know, I went to Wesley Hall. You know, you're accustomed to playing cricket outside, football outside. I came from a very humble background, or from humble beginnings, so I was never fortunate enough to have like video games and stuff like that. So like my ideas of having fun was like going outside and play till it's dark, you know, like cricket, football, road tennis, basketball on the hard court. And my mom always used to quarrel me because she said that I should wear shoes, but I just used to run outside to play. And because obviously you're on the concrete, the asphalt, on the hard surfaces, you will play till you get sores or balls under your foot, and those are very painful. And I always end up bursting them, so it's very painful. You almost can't walk for a day or so on them till it heals again. I go back and do the same thing. But growing up, cricket was always my love, like most Indians. So I would have played for Wesley Hall junior school, and in my first year of playing, that team had on the present some West Indies players in Carl Mears, Roston Chase, Craig Brathwaite, who's the current West Indies Test captain, would have played the year just before I played my first game, and thankfully we would have won the Herman Griffith tournament in that first year. So that was a very proud achievement, a proud moment for me. When I was at Wesley Hall, I was able to represent Barbados under 13 in St. Kitts also. That was my first year. We would have won the championship then. When I was in second form, that was my last year of under 13 cricket. And that was a really difficult time of my life because what happened, my parents had just divorced at that time. And obviously, you know, getting for a 12, 13-year-old, that's something that, you know, takes a toll on people that's much older. I always tell people, like, my mom didn't do a specific thing for me. She sacrificed her life for me to get me where I am today, you know. And then when as I said, that was my last year under 13 cricket. So I was in St. Kitts, and it was the evening before the first game. We had just went to the opening ceremony, and it was the evening before the first game, and I got this sharp excruciating pain in my stomach. So obviously, you know, I tried to drink some tea, I tried to take some painkillers, obviously, but there was no improvement, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. This is in St. Kitts, as I said, and I realized, well, I had an appendix, so I got the surgery, I got that removed, and then when that surgery was done, I was in even more pain. So I was puzzled because, like, here I got the appendix removed, and then I'm in even more pain. So what happened is that then I had some tubes through my nose, through my penis, everything, and then I had to get another surgery because what happened is that some of the gangrene from the appendix has spread. So, like, I got 10 centimeters off of my intestine, cut off part of my cecum, part of my colon. And what was even more painful emotionally is that in my last year of under 13, I did not get to play any of the games. So, like, that was heartbreaking, obviously, but at least, you know, the boys had came to visit, and I was happy that they won the tournament. And it was eventually time to go back to Barbados, so I spent majority of that trip just in a hospital bed. And when I came back to Barbados, I had the first surgery, the appendix surgery, they would have stitched, so I got those stitches removed. But the second surgery, you know, they would have stapled it. So my uncle, who's a doctor, he would have removed the staples, and removing those staples, I can remember it like it was yesterday. Like, I had to be held down. I felt like I lost like 5 pounds of sweat from it, you know, like, it's crazy. At 13 years old, so go through that, you know, after, especially my parents just went through a divorce and everything, just, it was hard, you know, it was hard. But my uncle also, who's my mom's brother, he played a huge role in helping us, and, you know, without him, I won't be where I am today either. And my sister, she helped also. So yeah, that was it. I never liked reading a lot, and I always wanted to be a pilot when I was young. But for some strange reason, when I was in third form, accounting had appealed to me, and there was this slight indecision of if I should go the accounting way or the economics, the finance way. I like numbers a lot, but I wasn't totally sure. My mom was like, well, Mubarak, you know, sciences give you a broader reach, so we went the sciences way. And then obviously when you finish fourth form, you know, it's time to do the CXCs in fifth form, and thankfully I was able to do well enough to get into sixth form, and I didn't throw off being a pilot yet. And, you know, I qualified for lower, because you have to reapply for sixth form. And in the summer of that fifth form vacation, I never just like being home. And as I said, I came from humble beginnings or humble background, so I went to work in a clothes store in town for like part of my summer vacation, majority of my summer vacation actually. And then I would have started lower six. So in lower six, I would have done, obviously besides communication studies and Caribbean studies, you would do maths, physics, chemistry, was the 3 subjects I chose. And then when I finished lower six, because my uncle had knew Sir Charles Williams, may he rest in peace now, through horse racing where my uncle works, he asked him for some job, and I just went and worked in the accounts department at the end of lower six. So I was at Sir Williams working at the end of lower six, and for majority of my summer vacation, I worked there. And then I would have gone into upper six, and I did the upper six and everything. And then they said that, I said, well, look, I said to myself it was time to apply for university at that stage to St. Augustine, because engineering isn't offered at KFL, as you know, and Mona didn't have it as yet. So it was time to apply to St. Augustine, and I said, well, look, maybe I could go and do engineering. And I never liked drawing too. I wasn't good at drawing, so mechanical engineering didn't really appeal to me that much. But civil engineering, because I would have worked at C.O. Williams and had that background, you know, and they said that they would invest in me and they would pay for my tuition and send me to school. And when I finished upper six now, I went back to C.O. Williams, and I worked there in the summer vacation again. And I didn't work in the accounts department this time. I worked in the more technical department, which was the QS department. So I was working there, and then it was a mad rush at that time, because I had applied, as I said, applied to St. Augustine, but I had also applied to Cave Hill as a backup to do maths and physics in case I didn't get into St. Augustine. And I remember the results had came out late, and I had faxy results to St. Augustine, and I was still going to the orientation and everything at Cave Hill. And we had a guy that, well, we called, and then they said that they never get any fax or anything, but I knew I faxed it. And when it was at the orientation at Cave Hill, my mom called and she said, well, look, we just got a call and you've been accepted into St. Augustine. And it was a mad rush. I mean, like, school was starting the Monday, and this was like the Wednesday or the Thursday, so it was time to like organize like vaccinations before you go into like university, plane, suitcase, packing everything for university, booking a flight. It was just a mad rush. I would never forget it. And I flew into St. Augustine, to Trinidad on the Saturday, which was a holiday. It was either Independence or Republic Day, I can't remember offhand. And school was starting the Monday, so it's not even like I could have got anything done on the Saturday, you know. So it was just a crazy, a mad rush getting everything organized. And I always tell this story, funny enough, that when I went to university, there was the computer room, and there was a guy who was in second year, and he was asking me about if I registered for the courses. So I was like, well, I got accepted to do civil engineering, you know, like, so it was just a culture shock for me. So he was like, no, you have to register for the courses. And that's when I learned about the different courses and credits, everything. No, I'm not even ashamed to tell this story. It's just really funny. So like, he helped me register for the year one courses and everything. And I tell you, you know, like, every stage is a different step, from common entrance to secondary school, from fifth, then to CSC, then to K. The steps just keep getting bigger and bigger. And then the step from sixth form to university, oh, that was a humongous step, because then it was living alone. Obviously, I stayed on Canada Hall, and I would say this, Canada Hall has been one of the biggest and the best things that's happened to my life. The friendships that I made on Canada Hall, I can surely or safely say that without my other friends on Canada Hall, like, I don't think I would have graduated, to be honest. And like, you know, they say struggles bring people closer together, and you know, we sat down and we studied together. Even the boys that didn't do civil engineering, most of them did engineering, so some did mechanical, chemical, and we had one or two courses that would have overlapped with them. But the friendships, and you know, I always say that on Canada Hall, I met like they're like my family. I won't consider them as friends. You know, and recently I was even the best man for a guy named Fitz. He's from Jamaica. He was like my closest friend, and he lived next to me also, and it was his best man recently. And you know, the friendships I would have made there, I carried them with me throughout life. I mean, guys from Trinidad, guys from Tobago, Jamaica, Guyana, St. Vincent, Antigua, all over the Caribbean, you know. And without them, I would be nothing. Like, you know, I learned so much on Canada Hall. I learned so much about life at university. It's like the biggest learning curve for me happened at university, where I learned about life, like about relationships, about work, about not really work, but school, and you know, how things operate and everything. And university was hard. It was hard. Honestly, I would not say that it was easy just because I finished. Like, the sacrifices I had to make, like staying up all night studying, you know, balancing finance, you know, having to do things on your own. Like my mom normally does everything for me, but I always had to wash for myself, you know, get my own meals, everything like that. Thankfully, I had a family friend who would have cut for me, a lady named Auntie Sherry. She's a wonderful lady. Civil engineering degree wasn't easy at all. The class had over 120 people to start, and then I would say maybe speaking subject to correction, but 30, 40 odd would have dropped out. And out of those 80, only like 30 or so would have graduated in 3 years. And I was happy that I graduated in 3 years without failing anything. But actually I would have failed one course, and it's funny because my friends on Canada Hall always said that I was a lucky man. I had a clover leaf in my pocket. So there was this one course, we had 3 back-to-back exams when it was in second year, semester 2. And we were all sitting down studying together and everything. And there was this course that, it was the middle exam. There was the exam on the Tuesday, the Wednesday and the Thursday. The Tuesday exam, I felt like I had failed it, so it kind of messed up me for the Wednesday exam. And then the Wednesday exam, but I felt like I did enough to pass. And then the Thursday exam, I knew I would have passed. So when the results came out, the one that I thought I failed, I passed with flying colors, because that specific lecturer, he doesn't care too much about answers, but more procedure. You can't ever finish any of his exams. That's how hard his exams are. You just go into the exam knowing that you won't finish it. And then I would have failed the one on Wednesday, and I said to myself, there's no way I failed this when all of my other friends I know passed. And I know I wasn't like curious or anything in it. You know, you have that gut feeling. So like, generally speaking, in civil engineering, no one ever queries and gets back a positive result. But I say, you know what, let me query this. And I never forget, when I got back the results, my mark went up a whole 7%. You know, which was like, how the exam percentage was broken down was like 10 or 15 marks. And I told the boys, we have a group chat, and I told them, I said, listen, I passed this exam, I got back the query and everything. They were so flabbergasted. They even said, for sure, you're the luckiest man alive. That final year really brought us together. We were close for the first 2 years, but that third year, that final year, we got really close. I would never forget, for the final exams, this was in semester 1 around Christmas time. We sat down and studied together for everything, and even 1 or 2 other guys who weren't on our hall, but like one was from Barbados and one was from St. Vincent. They came and studied with us also, and we sat and we studied and we helped each other for all of the exams. And then for the I always give this joke, for the final exam, which was highway engineering, I was pretty good at that. So like we would always help each other for every course, but like there were guys that were good at specific courses, if you get me. So like one guy was good at structures and others was good at geotechnics, which is like soil mechanics. And then for highway engineering, I was the guy that was, you know, pretty good at it. And I remember it was the last exam. We were just exhausted. We weren't eating well. We were only bathing, eating now and then, and sitting down by that table studying for like hours and hours and hours. We were sleeping like probably 4 hours a day maximum. You know, we were just sitting down there, just eat. We would eat there, sit down and study together. It was hard. We had to make a lot of sacrifice, and for that final exam, everybody was just exhausted and everything. We reached a point where we said, look, this is it. We just back the work that we put in and go in there and give our best. And so in that highway engineering exam, it's normally a lot of formulas, but they didn't give a formula sheet, which I found was ridiculous. So there was a specific question that I said to the boys, listen, I really don't feel, because I said we could learn it, but because it's so much formulas to memorize, you know, I don't think we should try to focus on this. We should try to put our time into other things. But then the other boys were saying, but if we memorize this could be some easy marks we could bank on. So I said, well, look, listen, I don't really think this is gonna come. I just talking to them, and I will never forget, we went to the examination room. It was the final exam in semester 1, and we went into the examination room, and normally the invigilator would say, okay, make sure and check through the booklet and make sure that you have all your pages. So we opened up the booklet, turned the first page, the second page, and on the third page, it was the same exact question that I told them that work that wasn't coming, and I would never forget. I was in the exam hall, the exam room, and I looked down at the question and I saw it, and I look up and I saw like all the eyes looking at me. If they could have get her and killed me in that exam room, they would have done it. I mean, like, all of them, like, on hall, all the boys on hall, I mean, like, the Jamaicans, the Tobagonians, the Vincentians, the Antiguans, whoever, they all, I just see them looking at me like they were like, if Lutz could kill, they would have definitely killed me. But thankfully all of us passed and everything, and when I got out the examination room, man, they took a toll on me. They went in on me for that. But you know, you took a gamble, like, you know, it didn't pay off, it goes. But as I said, all is well that ends well, and we all pass it and everything. When I graduated in 2016, I would have finished the semester in May, and I would have came back to Barbados, and I would have just took a little time off June and July, and I would have started work in August. You know, thankfully I didn't have to go on the job hunt. I had that security because I knew C.O. Williams had sent me to school, and there's a guy there, the general manager, Mr. Neil Weeks, who would have really invested in me and supported me and backed me. But going from being in a classroom all my life, I mean, yes, I would have worked in the summer, yes, I would have been an intern at the end of lower states, at the end of upper states. When I finished year 1 at university, I was an intern. When I finished year 2 again, I was an intern, and I worked there for like 90% of my vacations from lower states straight to the end of year 2. But when I had finished year 2 and I would have graduated, or had to graduate, and I was finished the program, you know, going from a classroom to permanently working I felt a bit unsure. Like, the step to see something in a classroom is one thing, and see it on the board or see it in a lecture, but the practical aspect of it and applying it is always not so easy. And generally speaking, for academic programs, they're very theoretical, not practical. You learn the practical from being out there, and personally I learned from seeing things and not like somebody telling me it. You know, like, if I see someone do something, that's how I learn it. And I was, you know, I felt not afraid, like, generally, and sometimes I'm trying to move away from kind of have a pessimistic approach, or approach where you find that you're not good enough. So like, I was a bit afraid going into the working world. You know, like, yes, I'm a civil engineer, yes, I have a degree, but a key to it is always have an open mind to learning and being humble and approaching stuff with humility, and don't think that, oh, well, I'm a civil engineer so I can do this or I know this. Really and truly, you don't know anything. You know, coming out of the classroom, going into the practical world, and you know, and not in a condescending manner, obviously, but majority of things you learn are things that you learn from people that don't have a degree or don't have a civil engineering background. So there was that, but I think having an open mind to learning, and I was afraid that, you know, like, it was a big step. Obviously, as I said, every different level is a step from 11 plus to secondary school, from normal end of term exams to CXC, from CXC to CAPE, from CAPE to university, and now from university into the biggest step, which is the working world. So I was afraid of all of that. And then obviously when you start to work, you know, you're a bit unsure. Like, you aren't taught in classrooms of how to, you know, about relationships, whether it was boyfriend or, I'm sorry, whether it was girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you know, and whether it's about finances and money or just general friendship, you know. So like, there was that, and it was a big learning curve for me, and I didn't get it right. I'm not afraid to say that, in terms of balancing my time. Thankfully, the same Fitz, he had told me about a guy who would have stayed on hall also, had told him that when he started working, that he had an Excel sheet that he would have tracked his finances and his expenditure and his income. So that was a good thing I did, and I decided to take Fitz's advice. My mom had always told me to do it when I was at university, but at that time at university, you know, you're not, when I say not in the right headspace, you're not ready to approach life in that manner yet, most people, and I was slack with it. But when I graduated and I started working, you know, I was able to track all of my expenditure from 2016 to now, all of my income, everything, and that was a huge plus for me. But you know, I learned to balance my time some more, you know, like before I was just going to school, but now I had to make time for myself, I had to make time for work, I had to make time to help my mom around the house. It was different things. So it's always that afraid, you know, you're not afraid per se, but you're a bit unsure of how to approach, you know, being a working man. And it was, I graduated and started working at 21 years old, well, permanently, even though I was working from like 16, 17 years old, permanently I would have gone on to staff at Sir Williams at 21 years old, and I was the youngest there at the time. And Sir Williams, as it is a high-performing, demanding company. So, you know, you have to get it right. You have to plan well. You have to organize well. You know, they expect a high standard of work, and it's can't blame them. That's what made them the company they are today. I would never forget. We were doing some work at the airport, and obviously I was reading about COVID and everything, and I don't know. I think it was stupid of me. I never really took it on, and like the whole COVID, when I was reading it, when I was seeing it on the news and reading it on the news and everything, and then for some strange reason I said to myself, well, this not gonna come to Barbados, you know. It was just very stupid of me. And then I realized it started to get more serious around the world. Funny enough, I was working at the airport, and like, I saw messages from friends and different group chats saying that someone would have just came in at the airport with COVID, even though I was not anywhere near them. You know, it's just you know, I'm at the airport, and I'll never forget. And it's just like everything got a call saying that I had to go to Harrison Point to work. At that time, Harrison Point, the facility was like bush, abandoned, derelict buildings, big boulders just blocking access, and like a cane field basically. And we had to work, and said, because how we work at Coast, and we would work night, we would work day, we would work long hours, we would work Saturday, Sunday. I was accustomed to working the demanding hours and the demanding times, and even on off days. And we saw Harrison Point, and it's always a shock to me to see how the place has transformed. And not only because of me, but because of the effort Sir Williams and many other companies put in to that Harrison Point facility. I mean, we were working 7 days a week, 15 to 16 hours a day, having to have police escort us home before all the passes would have came out and everything. And to see the sacrifice that Barbadians made to that project was very heartwarming. And I always tell people it was the best project I worked on, because that could be a place where I could have gone, my family members could have gone, my friends, my relatives could have gone to get help. And you could imagine if we didn't have the Harrison Point facility during this COVID pandemic, countless amounts of hundreds of maybe even thousands of Barbadians would have lost their life, you know. So to see the sacrifice that Barbadians would have made, and the companies and the organizations in getting Harrison Point to where it is today, I mean, it's just a fascinating story, you know. I mean, the hours weren't nice, obviously. The working 7 days a week, 15 to 16 hours a day, extremely far up in St. Lucie, it wasn't nice. But when you look back at it, it always felt heartwarming to see that, you know, that yes, this is what would have done. And I remember one day a specific story. There was this pad, there was this mar pad, and the various electrical systems being set up to like this container. So I went and asked the guy, well, I was asking questions as I being there, what, like, obviously I didn't come from a medical background, so a lot of the systems and everything were very new to me. And I asked the guy, well, what was this? What was this container? I understand it was some type of cold storage, but when the guy said, well, this is the morgue, you know, I was like, whoa, you know, that had me a bit taken back. Obviously, it's like, you know, and sometimes it just thinks that, like, you know, that all that happened so quick, but like where this pandemic came from, how, you know, how all of this happened, you know, like life will never be the same after that. But it felt good to contribute towards that, and then to be able to be recognized for it earlier this year, especially on Heroes Day, that felt really nice, you know, to see I would have got one of the humanitarian awards. I felt really proud of that achievement, and I obviously it was the best project I've worked on. I'm Mubarak Nakhuda. I'm a civil engineer. I'm a hiker. I'm a avid sports fan. I'm just another Bajan.